Good evening, tired traveler. Today evening, we're gonna spend in the sleepy town of Lonesville, deep in the forest, past the whispering brook, a right from the old oak tree is the town's witch, Foon, who spends her days and nights deep inside her cabin, brewing potions. Tonight, she has decided to brew a sleeping potion, making sure that the moon was perfect. For tonight, it's in a waxing crescent. And for Foon, that means that is just enough light for the potion. Not too much, like the full moon, and not too little, like the new moon. Just the right amount of light so that the room is filled with a gentle, cooling blue glow. The cauldron is bubbling. With a lavender color liquid softly making noises from time to time. The purple liquid is letting off a deep lavender scent that is floating through the room and filling up the nooks and crannies of the books and the plants. The lavender scent has caused an air of drowsiness for the magical creatures in Foon's room have begun to nod off. Suki, Foon's 3-year-old cat, is now in a corner, purring contently. Suki was named after the moon. When Foon found her under the moonlight as a kitten 3 years ago, Suki's soft, furry belly is gently rising and down with her breathing. Her purring floating in the room as gentle white noise. Foon now grabs her wand and begins to stir the cauldron clockwise. Taking her time, making sure not to be hasty and to gently enjoy the process. As Foon knows the intention and the energy she is carrying while making the potion affects the potion. So Foon takes her time, mentally counting each stir. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 'Now, Foon gently reverses the spinning into a counterclockwise motion, and again beginning to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The lilac colored potion has begun to now take a soft shade of pink. If there was a scent for happy dreams, this would be it. Foon makes a mental note to make some later and bottle the scent for the nights. She doesn't need a sleeping potion, but just something to smell that makes her drowsy. Foon reaches in to a deep cloak pocket pulls out a bunch of neem leaves. 10 to be exact. Earlier this evening, before the sun began to set, Foon went into the forest to forage some neem leaves, for she needed them fresh. Past the babbling brook is a mature neem tree, and she got 10 mature leaves. She needed 8, but she always takes 2 more for good luck. Now, untying the bushel, unwrapping the twine from around the leaves, she takes 8 leaves and turns back to the cauldron. Taking a deep breath, she drops one into the pink liquid as she watches it swirl and sink. As she did that, she felt herself grow relaxed. Taking another deep breath, she drops the second into the cauldron. Now, her mind, decluttering with all the thoughts of the day, grows quiet as she floats into a meditative state. Taking another deep breath in, she drops the 3rd neem leaf into the cauldron. The muscles in her body relaxing. With another deep breath, she drops the 4th. She watches as the leaf drifts on the liquid for a while as it gently glides into the pink glowy liquid. The tension in her body now releasing through her muscles. Foon takes another deep breath and drops the 5th leaf into the cauldron. Her eyelids now growing heavy. Another deep breath in, dropping the 6th leaf into the pot as she exhales. She would like nothing more now than to just close her eyes and drift into a deep sleep. Another deep breath. Foon drops the 7th leaf into the cauldron, her mind now drifting into happy memories of comfort. Taking the final leaf, she takes one last deep breath and drops it into the cauldron. With the final leaf, the cauldron changes color. The liquid from a pink into a light shade of blue, and then into a deeper shade of blue, soothing her eyes as she watches it bubble. Walking over to the drawer beside the cauldron, that is overflowed with lush vegetation from when Foon tried to grow herbs, and it overtook the whole drawers. It was filled with rosemary, peppermint, spearmint, thyme, and basil. On top of this vegetation was Foon's friend, Robu, the frog. He was deep in a sleep that Foon didn't have the heart to wake him up. She watched for a moment, observing how his mouth twitched ever so slightly from time to time, and she wondered if perhaps he was dreaming about his swamp back home. Foon had only been there once, but she had enjoyed it ever so. Robu's mother had served her swamp tea, a thick green colored juice that Foon had kindly declined, but she did help herself to the freshly baked cherry cookies right out from the oven. Just the thought felt like a comforting hug from the inside. Trying not to wake Robu up, Foon plucked some peppermint and crushed it in between her palms, dropping it into the cauldron. Finally, Foon went over to her bedroom, and floating above her bed were white golden globes, softly sparkling. Normally, this would be invisible to the naked eye, unless you were magic, like Foon. With a pair of tweezers, she gently grabbed one and dropped it into a glass jar, taking it over back to her brewing potion. Instead of dropping it straight in like before, she lifted up her sleeves and gently sunk the jar right to the bottom of the potion. The warm liquid engulfing her up to her forearm, but not making it wet. Now, the first part of brewing the sleeping potion was done. Foon took her alarm clock and set the timer to 6 hours. As she went to her most comfortable armchair, grabbing a blanket that she had knitted just 2 weeks ago, that was covered with squares of patchwork of tulips, daisies, and roses. Settling in to the armchair and covering up her legs with the blanket, she eagerly welcomed the deep sleep that the potion was bringing upon her.